What's up, everyone? This is Don One the Third, and today we're bringing a Christmas versus battle. Kevin McAllister from the Home Alone series, Part One and Part Two, versus Miss Trunchbull from Matilda. To help me introduce this versus battle is my good friend SpicyOrange. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? It's me, SpicyOrange. Thank you, Don, for helping me, for bringing me on here.
No problem at all. And I will be introducing Miss Trunchbull, and Spicy will be covering Kevin McAllister's feats. And if you'd like to go ahead and kick it off, Spicy, and get it started off with Kevin's feats and hacks.
Alrighty, so Kevin McAllister, pretty famous for being in the Home Alone movies 1 and 2. He is a mischievous 8-year-old boy who is left alone after his family forgets about him when they leave for the holiday. He's very clever in making multiple traps, which can cause severe pain, multiple injuries, and a very high chance of death in some of them. I want to start off with probably his most impressive one, or at least his deadliest, would be the famous sink feat, where Marv grabs onto the sink, and which is hooked up to an arc welder. And in the film, you can clearly see that Kevin set it to 90 amps, and Marv was shocked for at least 20 seconds. And an average human can take 1/10 of an amp for about 2 seconds before possible death. This here would be his best death trap so far. Also has one where he tied a rope to a 100-pound cement bag, and Marv pulled on it, and he did this to escape the basement that he was in, and it fell from... He pulls on it, and the bag falls from 2 floors up, which leads to it getting smashed onto his face. He also has, he puts ice on stairs, so they slip on him when they go up. He has nails on stairs, so people step on him. Matchbox cars on the floor, so they go. People come in and slip. He put an electric barbecue starter on a doorknob, making it red hot. He has trip wires in hallways. He has a BB gun. He puts green gunk on a ladder so nobody can get any friction to climb up it. He has paint cans on string to swing from stairways. He also has a very large pipe, just about 45 pounds or so, that he uses after the paint cans down the stairway as well. And so far, I think that's the most relevant stuff he has so far. If you want to go ahead, Don.
Alrighty, I was about to say, Miss Trunchbull is the authoritarian principal from Matilda. She actually has some really good feats. It's stated in the movie that she's a 3-time gold medal winning Olympian. So she is at least an Olympian tier human or peak human. She says she was in the 1972 Olympics and won the javelin, the shot put, and the hammer throw, which each one of those winnings were 63.8 meters, 21.3 meters, and 66.62 meters, respectively. Now, a few of her other good abilities in the movie were she threw a girl by her pigtails in a hammer throw stance, which comes out to roughly 8,600 joules of force being thrown, which is about 6,300 foot-pounds of torque actually being thrown. Another impressive feat of hers is when she lifted the back of her car and rotated it 180 degrees around, which the car that she lifted was a 1970 Buick Electra 225, which the curb weight of that car is 4,550 pounds. Now, given that she didn't lift the car in totally, we'll say she lifted a third of that, which is still 1,516 pounds. The heaviest deadlift in the world was just achieved a few years ago by Halfthor Bronson, and he played the Mountain on the Game of Thrones, and he was only able to deadlift 1,104 pounds. So with just that, she's already lifted more than the heaviest deadlift in all of recorded history. Another good feat of hers is when she's giving chase to Miss Honey and Matilda in the basement of her own house. She was able to snap a chain with one hand. Now, given that that chain was probably a grade 30 type of chain, which is the least strongest chain, the workload limit of that is still an average of like 2,800 foot-pounds to be able to break, or 3,800 joules, which, given the math of the hammer throw of the girl with the pigtails, equals out and is relative. Also, another sizable feat of hers is her great sense of smell. When Matilda and Miss Honey snuck into the house, she was literally in a rage coming back from her car being broken down and literally noticed the chocolate box being moved out of place a little bit. She steps over and smells the top of the box and then realizes someone's inside of her house just by sniffing the top of the box. Now, if we want to get to how we're going to get this versus battle set up, we were thinking 3 rounds. Kevin with 100% prep, Kevin with 50% prep, and Kevin with no prep. Well, what I mean by 50% prep would almost be like the second movie, where he had, it wasn't his hometown, it wasn't his home turf, it was just a random house with a bunch of random stuff. He only had a small window of time to set up his traps. Now, both me and Spicy have agreed that the more prep time Kevin McAllister has, the better chance of victory he would be able to overcome, because Kevin with prep time is god tier. Everyone can agree with that. So, Kevin's ability to improvise traps very quickly is one of his greatest attributes for his character. It was shown in Home Alone 2. He's able to create distraction traps within 30 seconds before like the concierge actually walks into the hotel room. But past that, Kevin's real problem is Miss Trunchbull's intelligence. Now, she's simply just not going to walk into a hole in the floor or like grab a obviously glowing red hot door handle. But if Kevin was able to find out she was like superstitious, then it would be pretty much game over for Miss Trunchbull. Now, what's funny about the superstition for Miss Trunchbull is that's Kevin's biggest advantage, but it's also his greatest disadvantage as well, because Kevin is also superstitious. Like, in the first movie, he was able to believe from his older brother that the snow shoveler old man was a serial killer, or the bird lady in Central Park from the second movie was just scary and creepy just because she hung out by herself in Central Park and fed birds. So, what is your conclusion, Spicy?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the superstitious stuff. Like, I think he can be very, he's more of a child, you know, so of course he'd be very superstitious of many things, and I don't think he could very much exploit that to Miss Trunchbull. I just don't think he has any way to actually do that. And a lot of his traps can be very obvious, are very deadly, but I feel like a lot of them can be very avoidable. And I am not seeing Miss Trunchbull like falling for quite a bit of them. There might be like some that might put her on her ass, like maybe she steps on a nail, maybe she slips on ice, but other than that, a lot of these things she just move out of the way. Like, honestly, I just think she's probably a little too tough for a lot of the things that Kevin can prep for in like short amounts of time. But yeah, I'd say
yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that one, Spicy. Miss Trunchbull's durability is real sus.
Yeah.
But I mean, any one of his real deadlier traps could easily one-shot her or even like heavily damage her, but it's not going to take her out of the fight. Especially in Matilda, where she jumped off the second story of her house and landed on the first floor and shook the whole entire house. So, I mean, if she's able to withstand multiple floor stories drop and not break a bone or anything, or even be, dissuaded in any sort of way from stopping, I think Kevin McAllister would have a tough time with that. Now,
Definitely.
even in his 100% prep, I still think he would have a real rough time, but I still think he would be able to pull out in the end if it was like his own home, like in the first movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the Wet Bandit's durability and dexterity are god tier, and literally a tenth of what they took would kill any other normal human, but Miss Trunchbull just isn't any normal human being neither. So, in conclusion, I believe Kevin McAllister with 100% prep, Kevin would win 7.5 out of 10 times. Kevin with 50% prep, Miss Trunchbull would win 5.2 out of 10 times. And Kevin with no prep, Miss Trunchbull would take it 8 out of 10 times. So in conclusion, I believe Miss Trunchbull would take the overall victory in this versus battle. I would like to thank Spicy for coming on the channel for the first time, and hope we get to do another collab together again.
For sure, man. Definitely. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. And I was ready to say, check out the coffee shop members down below. It will be in the comments. Like and subscribe. And thank you all for watching. Peace.